Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 72 of the Magic Beans podcast. My name is Cracker, and I will be your host for the show. And I have a couple of beans on the line with me, starting off with Chewy. How you doing, mate?
I'm excited. How are you?
Very good. Very excited as well. And also joining in the excitement is Stu. How's things, buddy?
Very good, thank you.
Awesome. So, the reason why we are all very excited this week is, in just a couple of days, we have reached the end of our Kaldheim Beans League. We've got the top 8 and we're about to get streaming on the weekend. So today is going to be a focused episode on the top 8, who's in it and what decks they're playing and what fun things we should expect to see. So, but before we get into all of that, one of our top 8 competitors is some bloke called Pat. Stu, where do we know Pat from?
We know Pat from Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar. Now, this isn't the first time our sponsor has made it to the finals, I believe. So clearly he's good at Magic and also good at selling Magic cards. So he's a Facebook auction site. Just search up Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar and you can, just like me, get yourself a $19 Urborg, or you can have one of the fellow beans outbid you on a card for more than it's worth by a lot, and then have their wife outbid them as well.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But, yeah, look, really great. Pat's a great guy. He's supporting us, and we love what he does, and it's actually really cool that we get to commentate his matches this weekend. So, yeah, look him up and bid on all the cards and tell him that the bean sent you.
Excellent.
Awesome. So, Chewy, we're talking about this league that we've had. Maybe you could give us a quick rundown on how we got to these 8 players.
Yeah, absolutely. So we started with, I believe we had 50 players, 48 players, something.
48, I think, yeah.
48,
yeah. And so after a 4-week period where those players were divided into groups and played a round robin, the top competitors from each of those groups emerged, and like somebody cast an ultimatum, and they're the ones that got pulled out of their deck, and we came up with a top 12, and then those players battled it out. And we had a couple of casualties along the way, and we are locked into a top 8. So the very pinnacle, the cream of the competitors, and we've got deck lists that we'll go through a little bit today. But yeah, when I said I am excited at the start of the show, it's because we're going to do some coverage. We're going to stream it to our Twitch channel this coming weekend. We're going to do a double elimination format top 8. So lots of Magic coming at you. So it's not just a in and done thing. It'll be a bit of an experience. So hopefully, people can join us. We'll be commentating on the top 8 matches. So I know that Shorty and Polywaffle are doing a lot of work behind the scenes to get a schmick coverage experience for everybody, and we'll be bringing a bunch of commentary on the day, which I'm always excited about. It's always really fun to do.
I'm really looking forward to seeing what Chris and Shorty come up with this time. They're always pushing the limits.
Yeah,
they better be coming up with coffees, man, because I saw the times that you guys were talking about arriving at the at Big Fish, and yeah. I'm going to need a bunch of coffee to get me going. Yeah,
coffee will be involved. So we're starting a little earlier for this stream than we have in the past. Sometimes we've done these final streams at sort of Sunday evenings, but we're kicking off at 10 a.m. Saturday, Australian Eastern Standard Time. So Saturday, the 10th of April, 10 a.m. So no matter where you are in the world, you should be able to tune in for that. We'll be giving stuff away, because that's what we do at the Beat. So there'll be some on-stream giveaways. They'll be announced on the day. Pretty excited by those. And so just hang out in the chat and you'll be able to enter those little comps, and we'll give stuff away. The prize pool for the competitors is over $500 worth of cash and prizes that these guys are battling it out for. So yeah, it's a lot at stake, and $500 cash and prizes pales pales into insignificance when you factor in that the winner of this top 8 of our Kaldheim League gets an invite to the Magic Beans Invitational at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So all of these players have accrued some points, and that's exciting, and they've all done well. But there is that invitational invite on the line. Getting yourself locked in the first league is pretty great. You join Hemsey as our defending champion, and you just get to look down on the rest of the competitors for the rest of the year, and try to figure out who's the challenger for your title. So it's going to be pretty exciting. So I'm pumped. This stuff's always really fun, and we've got some really good players. Cracker, who are our players? We'll get into deck lists, but who is our top 8?
Sure. So as we mentioned, we have got Pat. We've got Squid Plays, Asbestos Mule, P-Jaw, Skips J, The Goat, Rolling Royce, and Jedi's Walker. I do actually have all their real names as well, but that's where everyone's seen them on in the Discord, and as as we've been battling through, so that's probably what they'll mostly be called as we're getting through the finals. But there are people from all over. The Goat is actually from South Carolina, I believe.
Yeah,
so
wow.
They'll be up late there Friday night, I guess, to battle out these games, which is pretty awesome. And then we've got a good sampling from all around Australia for everyone else. And Pedro is from Dunedin. He's from New Zealand.
Yeah, that little island off the coast of Tasmania. I think I made that joke last time. Sorry, I'll have to get some new Kiwi jokes, Pedro. I apologise.
Do you though? I mean, you haven't had any new jokes for a while.
That is true.
Why start now?
Okay, I'll stick to what I'm good at. Old jokes. Yep.
So look, we're really looking forward to seeing these players, and we've seen a few of these people in the top of the finals before. We've actually had a couple of others who have come really close and not quite made it to the top 8. So I know we've got a couple of these guys who are quite excited about being able to do really well in this league, and like a couple of newcomers as well, which is awesome. In fact, like 3 newcomers, right? Like Squid Plays, I think this is the first league they've played in.
Yep.
Asbestos Mule, and also The Goat. This is the first one for them too. So
well done.
Really great to see some new faces, and the fact that the Beans community just keeps growing blows us away. So we're really looking forward to like seeing them in action, how it all goes.
Yeah. No, I love seeing some new faces there, and people that it creates that uncertainty when you get paired against somebody or you organise your match. It's like, this person's a completely unknown quantity, and these guys have performed. So hats off to them. They've run the tables, and and also the players that are familiar to us. It just shows their quality as well, that they're able to mix it as the community grows and the skill level of the Beans competitors goes up. Still being able to put up good results is a good endorsement for your ability. So well done to those guys as well.
Absolutely.
Right. So enough teasing everybody around what everyone's playing. Let's get straight into it. Unfortunately, the metagame is really flat, and we've got 8 people playing mono white aggro.
Yeah, there's just so many Heliods. It's crazy. So yeah. So that's actually not true. We've got
not at all.
120 unique cards across our main decks. So some of those may be like 12 or 16 copies of that card, but they're all up. There's 120 unique cards. So that's that shows the diversity. Even though we may have some similar deck lists into the top 8, there's still a lot there. Got a couple of companions. What companions do we have, Stu?
We're running 1 Lurus, 1 Obosh, and more importantly, 1 Urion.
Just 1 Urion deck. Okay.
Just 1.
There's also, interestingly, particularly after the Mythic Invitational or whatever they're called, there are only 4 copies of Edgewall Innkeeper in the top 8. But there are 29 different adventure cards all up.
This is an outrage. There should be more innkeepers.
Yeah.
Should there, though? I'm pretty glad that there's not.
I love the adventure package. I've played it since day one. I just love it.
It's very powerful.
I am going to miss Magic or Standard when Eldraine is gone. I know a lot of people won't. I know Twitter's been a bit funny about it lately, but I love it.
I've enjoyed playing them. They're just more powerful than anything else. And it's unfortunate when you get a cool set with some cool interactions like Kaldheim and things just get squeezed out by things that are already there. So other cards just don't quite get as much time in the sun when we do that. But we did have to bring the power level down. But this, kids, is what you call a tangent. And we are on it. So I'm going to bring it back.
Whoa. You're bringing it back.
I am bringing it back.
He's bringing it back. I went on the tangent and Chewy's bringing it back. What's going on?
So Edgewall Innkeeper and plus 29 adventure cards is 33 cards out of the 156 creatures that are in our top 8. So what I need to do is have a look at how many copies of like Heartless Act or Extinction Event are in there, because there's a lot of...
They're going to be busy.
A lot of bodies on the battlefield. So expect to see some interactive Magic, which is great. And things will be easy to cast. In the mana in Standard we knew was really good, but there is, I think, close to 20 copies of Fabled Passage, but there are 20 Triomes, and wait for it, 64 Pathway lands across the top 8. Like, how insane is that?
I mean, they're pretty good, and considering we have 2 mono red decks, that's not a joke. We literally have 2 guys on mono red. They're not playing any Pathways. They're playing Snow Mountains. Look, I'm not surprised. We've all played with the Pathways. They're not my favourite dual lands, but I mean, they work, right? They're what we've got, and you know, they produce some interesting choices around how you play them as well. So I'm not surprised. Particularly, we've got some 3-color decks and things kicking around, that there are a lot of those. Yeah,
one of the things that I guess we've been spoiled for having the Shocklands in recent Standard sets is you only really have to do like level 1 sequencing with which land to play first, where these add that additional complexity. So it's like, do I play my Hallowed Fountain or do I play my Sacred Foundry, right? There's decisions in that, absolutely, on what to play first. But with the Pathways, you're locked into that colour once you got them. So it's like, I really need double red, so I need to play this blue-red one on the backside. But that then limits the number of blue sources that you've got, where, you know, with a true dual land, that's not an issue. But yeah, these require more play skill, I think, and they reward tighter play and punish looser play. So they're
maybe that's why I don't like them.
I was going to say, I can confirm that.
We've been spoiled in that sense, and you know, we've played a lot of Modern and such over the journey. So you're used to playing Stomping Grounds and Blackcleave Cliffs Cracker. So we have been spoiled for options. So, but I really like these. I think they're a really good land in Standard, and we're seeing that, you know, they are truly the best mana fixes that we've got, complemented well by the Triomes and Fabled Passages. But you can also just play, you know, 19 snow-covered mountains and some Faceless Havens, and you know, that is also a very functional, very powerful mana base. So yeah.
All right, well, let's start there then, seeing as we're talking about mono red. As I mentioned, we've got a couple of our players on that. We have from Group Cracker, actually, just the sick rub-ins in, half of the top 8 here is Group Cracker. That's right. All 4 of the guys that came to the top of my group have made it all the way through.
Well done.
Yep.
So pressure's on to take it home. Otherwise, Cracker has to eat his words.
We're 50-50. No, it's fine.
So there's one group that has no representation in the finals, correct?
Ooh, is there?
I believe that is the case. Because my Group Stew, has 3.
Uh-oh.
Which means
I haven't even checked.
Between Group Shorty and Group Chewy, there is only 1
Ooh.
Panicked clicking.
So I'm just...
As Chewy works out if it's
I know
him or
who
not.
it is, but I'm going to let you figure it out.
All right.
Oh, it's totally me,
So-
isn't it?
No, I don't know. So, as I said, two of the guys, we've got P-Jaw and Asbestos Mule. They are both running, snow mono red, I guess you call it. I mean, it's mono red.
Yeah.
They are both playing the things you would expect. Look, this deck has been around in this variety for, well, since, Eldraine. We got a bunch of really broken things like Embercleave.
But it's proven, right?
Yeah, look, the deck is really good. It's come and gone in terms of popularity and favor or what have you, but it's very good. And Faceless Haven. Stu, have you battled with or against Faceless Haven?
I haven't battled with yet, but I have battled against it. And that is a card.
It really is a card.
Especially in these mono reds or even your mono white aggros, it just gives them so much more. Like Chewy and I were just talking before the cast about the longevity that it can give these decks, that often, if they don't get their thing done quick enough, they just peter out. But Faceless Haven just keeps them in the game.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's one of the best creature lands we've seen in a really long time. I'm never happy to see my opponents playing that.
And it doesn't get killed by Bone Crusher.
Yeah. The 3 toughness is a real thing. Do you think this is the best creature land we've seen since the Celestial Colonnade cycle?
Oh,
so like back in Zendikar.
Yeah, we haven't had a lot of creature land since.
I suppose we haven't.
To be fair, there's the colourless one that's currently in standard, which is okay. But
the Crawling Barrens. Look, that's all right. That has seen some small amounts of play.
The Nissa creature lands are pretty good.
Well,
there's
different.
Making 3/3 elementals that tap for mana.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Yes. You're right. Breathing Pool is the best creature land we've ever seen.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm actually that's a legit question. I'm trying to think of, since we had those.
I've got nothing.
Yeah. When was Mutavault? That would be the only other thing that would come close.
That was in Lorwyn originally.
Right.
This is when we first saw Changelings. But,
okay.
Yeah, but then Zendikar with the blue-black one was unblockable. The Raging Revenge has got bigger and bigger. Celestial Colonnade was a Sarah Angel. Some of the others weren't so good. The
green white one.
Yeah,
Treetop Village.
Can't remember.
No, Treetop Village is probably one of the best creature lands ever printed. I think Faceless Haven is worse than Treetop Village, but
yeah, right.
It's only 2 to activate. Doesn't require snow. It's got trample. Taps for a color. It's got a lot going for it.
Yeah.
But I think it's unfair to compare a creature land to Treetop Village. But yeah, I think Faceless Haven is definitely the most powerful creature land we've seen in some time. Definitely.
I think one of the biggest plus sides with it as well is that it doesn't interplay tapped.
Yeah. And that's what the mono red deck wants, right? They don't want
correct. Because you can't have tap lands. It just is such a beating. So the fact that you don't lose any tempo and, you just play. I mean, there's literally no downside to snow-covered mountains in the deck. In fact, there's a bunch of upsides. You get Frostbite and stuff like that as well.
Yep.
So, yeah. Anything spicy? I'm looking at P-Jaw's list here at the moment. We've got Annex, Bone Crusher, Champions, Fireblade Chargers.
Yeah, that's standard.
Yep. Robert the Rich, Rimrock Knight, Torbrand, and a Phoenix.
Yep.
Cleaves, Frostbites.
The Phoenix is a concession to the prevalence of rogues in the format, and just having a recurring threat is good. And P-Jaw's got another couple in the sideboard as well as Oxes.
Yep.
So yeah, I think the deck is really well positioned. And as we get into the other decks in the top 8, there'll be a few decks that are hoping they dodge the mono red matchup. And one or two that are hoping to draw a particular half of their deck in those games as well. So, yeah, it's a kind of deck that just keeps everybody honest, right? It stops people doing the ridiculous things, and if you bring mono red to this event, you're here to win. You're not mucking around. You just want that invitational invite, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I expect to see some pretty serious gameplay, which is great. There's some interesting sideboard choices between the two. So Pjaw's sideboard 3 Roiling Vortex is something pretty cool. So at the beginning of each player's upkeep, Roiling Vortex deals 1 to them. When a player casts a spell, if no mana was spent to cast it, Roiling Vortex deals 5 damage to that player. Not the most relevant ability for standard, but it also has an activated ability of 1 red. Your opponents can't gain life this turn. So,
hang on. What about Ultimatum?
Yeah, there's Ultimatum, but
it literally is for that, right?
Yeah.
I think the activated ability and the damage every turn still makes it a playable card. If that middle paragraph wasn't there,
I don't think you'd put it in as like a bad.
Sulfuric Vortex.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
I still think that's powerful enough for standard because the best, one of the, whether it's the best way, but one of the most common ways to try to combat mono red is with life gain, and it lets you do that. And you're playing a deck with 25 lands. You're going to have a red lying around to activate it. But
sure.
Yeah, you've only got to get your opponent to 10, and then Ultimatum is switched off. So it's definitely a good strategy against that. Asbestos Mule doesn't have any in their sideboard.
No.
So some different. So more removal. So I'll just read out Pjaw's sideboard: 3 Vortex, 2 Ox of Agonis, 2 Phoenix of Ash that I mentioned before, 2 Scorching Dragonfire, 2 Soulseer, a good way to deal with Planeswalkers, Red Cap Melee, setting themselves up for the mirror, and 2 copies of the Akroan War, where Asbestos Mule has got a lot of spot removal to come in. So depending on the matchup, they can find the most appropriate. So 3 Fire Prophecy, 3 Shock, 2 Melee, 2 Dragonfire, a Soulseer, Tundra Fumarole is an interesting card. So it's do you want to read that one out, Stu?
So it's 2 red and a generic. Is that what we call it? Colourless? Generic?
Mm-hmm.
Tundra Fumarole deals 4 damage to target creature or planeswalker. Add colourless for each snow permanent spent to cast this spell. Until end of turn, you don't lose mana. You don't lose this mana as steps and phases end. Ah.
So that's an interesting an interesting card. So 4 damage to a creature or planeswalker is it complements Soulseer. Well, it's a bit of redundancy there, but the ability to double spell out of something with like robber, something that's sitting around from a Robber of the Rich attack, being able to cast this and then you only need another red and you can get a Bone Crusher off of Adventure. You can just play an Embercleave for cheap. So yeah, it's a there are some situations where this card kind of just deals 4 to something and that's it. Other opportunities where it can be a complete blowout. So that's pretty good. And then also rounding out Asbestos Mule's sideboard is an Ox and 2 copies of Goldspan Dragon, because sometimes you've just got to go big and over the top. And Goldspan is very good at that. Yeah. So yeah, mono red decks, the sort of known quantity, but certainly not 75 card mirrors here. So
no, but the main is very close. They're only a couple of cards out from each other as far as that goes.
The only difference seems to be 1 less Rimrock Knight in Pjaw's, I think, and 1 extra.
Yeah, Pjaw's playing an extra land.
An extra castle, actually.
Which is a solid choice as far as additional lands go. There's a lot of
absolutely
utility there. You definitely want to draw 1, but you don't really want the second one.
No, and with 19 islands, 19 mountains.
Hang on.
Yeah, with 19 mountains, it's going to come into play untapped very, very often.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, look, probably not a huge amount to say there. One thing I would note is that I think that I like the Soul Seers. I think that Pedro has played a lot more than Asbestos Mule. Asbestos Mule is like, they started playing after the Invitational last year, so they're like super new to the game and like doing incredibly well with it. But it shows that Pedro has lost to Lovestruck Beast more times than he wants to, and dealing 5 can be a big game.
Absolutely.
So, even if it is at sorcery speed. So anyway, we'll
Soul
see.
Seer's an instant.
Oh, it is too. The other one, sorry, the Tundra Fumarole is no sorcery.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a if I'm playing Team Adventures, landing a Lovestruck Beast does fill you with confidence.
It sure does.
Yeah.
Is anyone playing Team Adventures? Oh, look, it's someone else from Group Cracker. It's Mr. Roland Royce, and he went 10-1 in our group. Kind of crushed his way through. Actually,
rather impressive.
Without a great deal of a competition there. And so he's playing our Obosh list, which you don't always see in the Teamer lists, but I quite like. So let me give the quick rundown. We've got 4 Bone Crusher, 4 Brazen Burrower, 4 Innkeeper, 4 Goldspan Dragon, 4 Kazandu Mammoth, 4 Lovestruck Beast. That's just super clean, man. Just he knows what he wants.
It's a good deck. Yeah.
4 of each of them. 2 Henge, 4 Alrund's Epiphanies. Oh boy.
4 Epiphanies, big game.
Yeah, he's definitely going bigger here, which I really like. Like Henge into Epiphany. Oh man, that seems awesome. 2 Saw It Coming, Spikefield Hazard, a Dispute, a mix of lands, and then just a bunch of interesting sideboard cards. But let's talk about the main deck before we get into that. What do you guys think?
I love it.
Stu already loves it. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, if you're going to build this deck, it's a very clean looking list.
What I love about this deck, and I've played probably a 68 to 70 card version of this, like as in the same cards. So I played effectively this deck a fair bit last season, and you always have a land when you need it, and you always have a creature when you need it. So it plays really, really smoothly. You've got a huge amount of 2-for-1s because you've got the adventure package plus Edge or Innkeeper. Then you've got big hitters in Goldspan Dragon, Lovestruck Beast, and Goldspan Dragon plus Alrund's Epiphany ends games so very quickly. Or, like, any one of your creatures and Obosh ends games very, very quickly as well. So it is really big. So other creature decks, like the mono red decks that we talked about, it's too big for them in the early game, and then you just go way over the top of them. So it's got a really good mono red matchup. There's some other more 50-50 matchups in the top 8 for them, but I think Rolling Royce will be quietly confident and will feel like they've selected the right deck for the event. Having a look at what's here. If I registered this for this top 8, I'd feel like I'd got the first challenge complete. I'd passed the first test in deck selection. So yeah, now it's just up to believing in the heart of the cards and playing them well. But he's brought the power, which is great. The 4 Epiphany is the only thing that makes me a little bit nervous.
He's playing 30 lands.
Yeah.
I mean, you just don't miss.
No, that's right.
And so I understand what you're saying. Like, it's 7 mana, but at the same time, like, you hit 7, and then you just keep taking extra turns, and you don't need very many of them to win.
No, that's right. Well, and even the birds that Epiphany makes are a clock, especially in multiples.
Yeah, absolutely.
4 damage in the air has been winning games of Magic since Magic was, a thing in its infancy. So it's a it's a good deck. I'm excited. This is just based on deck choice. I would put this as my early front runner for favourites. I think it's not easy. This is a pretty stacked top 8 with some pretty powerful decks, but yeah, I think Rolling Royce will feel quietly confident.
All right, Stu. Saying as this is your jam,
well,
why don't you?
Yeah, sorry, continue.
No, I was going to say, why don't you run us through the sideboard and tell us what you think about it?
All right, so we're running 3 Mystical Disputes, 2 Red Cap Melees, 2 Clothis, God of Destiny, so a bit of graveyard exile there. Is that what it does?
Yep.
Yes, which is nice, and potential for more mana there. 2 Ox of Agonos, Agonis, 2 Soul Seers, a Elder Gargaroth, just because, sometimes team is not big enough. A Crush the Weak, it's very flavourful if you ask me. And a Soul Guide Lantern, just the singles of those last 3.
The Crush the Weak is interesting.
So I haven't actually seen this card. It's an uncommon from Kaldheim, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's a Pyroclasm. Crush the Weak deals 2 damage to target creature.
No, each
exile.
creature.
Oh, sorry, to each creature. Sorry. If creature dealt this damage this way will die, exile instead, and you can foretell
it has a foretell.
For a red.
Nice.
So it's foretell cost plus. Yeah, its foretell cost is the same as its regular cost, but you can foretell it on turn 2 and save it up for the opportune moment. And 2 damage when you've got Bone Crusher Giant, Mammoths, Lovestruck Beasts. You've got big game already, so it just clears the way for your Goldspan Dragon to just beat people down. So I think that's a good card to have in the matchup. And one of the things that I think is really interesting with our deck lists with one-ofs like this, whether they're it's the one-of Mystical Dispute in Royce's deck here, or the one of Crush the Week in the sideboard, is we're playing open deck lists. So people will have to, they've got access to the deck lists. The cutoff was about 24 hours ago as we record this. So they've had time to, pore over the deck lists and see who they're going to come up against. And having those one-of fun-ofs really does take advantage of the open deck list format. So be interesting to see if anybody kind of has to play around those one-offs, or whether they just go, you've only got a one-off, what are the chances, and whether we see any blowouts. So yeah, be interesting to see.
You always know when he foretells saw it coming, though. Certainly in game 1.
Yes.
Foretelling a card, yep. I know what that is.
Well, it could be an Elrond's Epiphany.
Not on turn 2, though.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
I always forget that that's a thing you can do with it.
Yeah. That's a common thing to do. Get it out of your hand, protect it.
Look, I'm really interested to see this play out. I think it's, like you said, really strong choice, and I think it will, well positioned against what we see going on here. The sweeper you were talking about, Chewy, I think will be brought in against a couple of the other decks we've got here. And we've got 2 of our players on Jeskai Cycling. And as someone who has had all of their creatures exiled instead of going into the graveyard to buff your Zenith Flare, let me tell you, that's quite a frustrating experience. So the Goat and Skips J are both on Jeskai Cycling. Slightly different lists. We've got, some more creatures and things in some of the others, but maybe let's just quickly run through it. So the Skips J list has got 4 Stinger, 4 Fox, 4 Rescuer, 4 Healers, and also 4 Ironcrag Pyromancer, which is not always seen in the list. That one's kind of come and gone a couple of times. Particularly in the Boros list, it didn't really see play because you were trying to be faster than that, but in the Jeskai list, it does tend to, pop up a little more often.
Yeah,
and then we've got
Jeskai list is sort of a turn slower, but it can go a lot longer. So depending on what the format's trying to do, you've got that flexibility in your deck building to counteract that, which is great. And I like the
It also
Pyromancer.
blocks. Yeah, me too. Yeah. 4 Improbable Alliance, which is the main draw to going to Jeskai, adding blue. And then you've got some Boon of the Wishgivers, some Go for Bloods, Zenith Flares, starting developments, 2 Neutralizers in the main. So you've got the counter target spell with cycling for 2 on it as well. And then like a mix of lands.
I think the... and 4 of those are the Jeskai Triumphs, which is also additional cyclists. But the Neutralizer is an interesting choice here with things like Emergent Ultimatum in the format. So you can get to a point where you've got a clock. You can just sit on your Neutralize and, you only need to counter 1 Emergent Ultimatum normally to get the job done. So I think
you spend so much of your game just going land go or land attack go with the cycling decks. Like there are things like with the Valiant Rescuer, right? You want to cycle on your opponent's turn to make sure you get that extra token.
Exactly.
So, or you're holding up mana, threatening a Zenith Flare at the end step or something like that.
Yeah, so there's always some open mana.
Yeah. It makes it really hard for your opponents to gauge what you're up to. Kind of like an old draw go control deck with flash threats, and like the Dimir Rogues deck is similar in that way. So it can be challenging to play around, knowing that Skips has got a couple of neutralizers sitting in there, whereas the Goat doesn't. There's kind of no counter magic at all in the main. So you know that game 1 you just don't have to play around it.
No, that's right, and. Interestingly, you mentioned the draw for going to Jeskai being the Improbable Alliance. I 100% agree with you there, but it also opens up the counter magic options in the sideboard, which is real.
Definitely.
So, looking at the Goats list, they've got 2 Mystical Disputes, 2 Disdainful Stroke, 2 Negates. So 6 counter spells can come in. So even though they don't have the main deck neutralize, they can still bring in 6 counter spells. And that's not to say that Skips J doesn't either. So there's some negates and disputes that come in there as well.
He's running another 4 counters, so they'll both have 6 all up, including sideboards. Yeah,
exactly. So it's games 2 and 3 can be very different. I really like the Riel, the Everwise out of Skips J's sideboard. So it's a blue, red, and 1 for a 0/3 legendary creature human wizard. It's a mythic from Ikoria. Rael, the Everwise, gets +1/+0 for each instant sorcery card in your graveyard. Whenever you discard 1 or more cards for the first time each turn, you may draw that many cards. So it can be like a 10-3. It's going to get blocked and such by a lot of things, but in games where you need to go longer or bigger, every time you cycle a card and you get 2 cards for the first time you do that each turn. So you're digging a lot deeper and finding a lot more gas. So a really interesting option for the deck out of the sideboard, and in sort of grindier matchups, definitely something that you'd want to bring in, and a great sort of one of fun of as well. So
I do find it interesting that neither of them are playing Lurrus. Like, understanding Skip's list with the Pyromancers, you can't.
Well, both players are playing Pyromancer. Ironcrag Pyromancer.
Yeah, they're both.
Oh, they are.
Them. Yeah.
Oh, I missed that. So what's Skip's playing more of then?
So Skips is playing the Draneth Healers.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. Right. That's where the difference is.
As someone who's played a bit of cycling, I certainly have cycled Draneth Healer far more often than I've played it as a 2/2.
Absolutely.
So bad when I have to cast that card, man.
Yeah.
that's not the state I want to be in.
No, that's right. So the Goats just straight up cut it. So it's
a good cut.
Yeah, but yeah, the Pyromancer makes Lurrus. Yeah, it's a decision that you have to make. So
yeah, for sure.
And I guess it makes sense if you're playing best of one. like on ladder, you're just like trying to grind through gold or whatever with cycling, which is definitely something that you can do, and I have done in the past. The Lurrus version's pretty good. It's pretty direct, but once you start getting sideboards, your graveyard's going to be a target. People are going to bring in Soul Guide Lanterns or other cards to exile your graveyard. So Pyromancer is an alternate win condition as well as a board control option, but an alternate win condition that doesn't rely on the graveyard. So Lurrus is all in on the graveyard. Your Zenith Flares are on the graveyard, Lurrus is on the graveyard, where this lets your deck attack from a different angle, which is really powerful.
No, I like it. We were talking about, other graveyard decks, and maybe we've got a couple of, we've got one list that is interesting that I haven't seen a lot of, but maybe let's just touch on what our illustrious sponsor, Pat, has brought to the table in Dimir Rogues. And Pat is on the full Lurrus Ruin Crab version. So 4 Windrobber, 4 Ruin Crab, 4 Thieves Guild Enforcer, 4 Soaring Thought Thief, which is kind of the usual package there. Also playing 3 of One Mind and 3 Agadeem's Awakening. And then lots of instants. So 4 Heartless Act, 4 Drown in the lock, 4 Into the Story, 2 Didn't Say Please, 1 Disdainful Stroke, 1 Negate, 1 Mystical Dispute, and 1 Soul Shatter. And then a mix of lands.
And so just before we go any further, just to quote Pat when the deck lists were revealed, "Oh no, I was wrong." He's like, how am I supposed to beat cycling decks? Yeah.
and as someone who has milled opponents into very large Zenith Flares, feels bad. He does have a lot of counter magic though. A lot of counter magic. I
just thought that was brilliant. I had a quiet chuckle when I saw that.
Yeah. It's definitely a thing. And look, it's all about killing the key creatures with your Heartless Axe, and you've got Drown in the lock, you've got Disdainful Stroke, you've got Negate in the main deck, and then lots more counter magic in the sideboard. So certainly not unwinnable from Pat's perspective, but
for sure the deck's good. It's proven. It's been around now for quite a while.
It won some tournament last week as well.
Yep.
That apparently some people were interested in, but it draws a lot of cards in the Ruin Crab mill plan. You can mill yourself. You can get a lot of Agadeem's Awakening becomes a draw spell. Into the Story with
mill yourself with Ruin Crab.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't really
that was the other one. Right,
you're thinking of Ruin Crab.
Yeah, right. Okay.
This isn't modern.
Well, they fixed it. There you go. But of One Mind, if you've got a human and a non-human, and if you have a look at the 4 different creatures, there's 8 humans and 8 non-humans in the deck. So of One Mind can often be a 1 mana draw 2 cards. So that's pretty good. I'll take that. It's not quite Ancestral Recall, but it's
that's a great card.
It's a pretty good divination. And of course, Into the Story has been tried and true in the Rogues list for a really long time.
Yeah, I like casting that card.
Yeah, feels good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, look, this deck, like we've said it, I've said it a lot. I think you can build it to beat anything as long as you know what you're going against. I don't know whether this list will beat everything because we've got a really good mix here, right? Like this may struggle a little bit against mono red, whereas it'll do pretty well against like Sultai Ultimatum, right? Like that's the kind of deck you want to play Yuri on decks, not because you can mill them out, but just because you tempo them out, right? You
Absolutely.
just play the aggro tempo game instead, and like you just kind of praise on that. And that's really what Pat was expecting, was that there'd be a whole bunch of people on
at least half the field would be on Urion.
So. Exactly. And so, like, this is a case of, like, maybe the right deck, but not the right build. I don't know. Anyway, it's interesting to see how this will do.
Pat can Magic,
it can just win.
Look, I love me some rogues, so I'm just hoping Pat does well. I'm sure he'll do fine.
What I love about this deck is, and I think we were talking about this, I don't know whether it was on the last Cast Cracker or just chatting in general over the weekend, the deck is unassuming in a way. It's like its creatures aren't huge. It doesn't have these big knockout punches, but it just never runs out of gas. Like,
yes,
even like Lurrus recurring Merfolk Wind Robber and things like that, where it just, it sees so much of its deck.
Which is funny because I remember when the Dimir Rogue sort of first came about, the card draw side of things hadn't really been fleshed out yet, and we were all sort of saying, it just needs more card draw.
Yeah, we were trying to do like Zareth Zan things as well. Like the builds were a little bigger and clunkier.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
Like the machine just kind of worked out that this is the package, even down to like, Of One Mind is a fairly recent adaptation, recent in the last few months. I mean,
it certainly wasn't in when I was last playing Rogues.
No, exactly. And I was kind of like, is that actually good enough? And the answer is, well, yeah, it is, because it's like 1 mana draw 2. Or, it's a divination. Sometimes you just flood out and you pay 3 mana to draw 2 cards, and that's okay. Like, so yeah, this deck goes for a really long time, and casting Agadeem's Awakening for a bunch bring back. I have done it for 3, where you bring back a Lurrus and a couple of rogues, and then you use your Lurrus to cast something else. Oh man, it feels good. You cast, I mean, it's a lot of mana. It's like 8 mana or whatever, but you get like 4 creatures into the battlefield, triggering all of the things. It's nice. So yeah, I mean, I've obviously got a big soft spot for this deck. I don't know that I love it in this field, but we shall see.
Pat feels like he's the underdog here.
Yeah, and he's right, because it doesn't have an engine, which a lot of these other decks do, and like just Innkeeper going unanswered for a bunch of turns. Like you can just get outraced, right? You just get outvalued, and that can be hard to keep up with. So,
speaking of engines, what about Witch's Oven and Trail of Crumbs?
That's an engine we haven't seen in a little bit, ever since the banning of Shorty's favourite card.
The poor cat, yeah.
The poor cat.
Absolutely.
So Squid Plays has brought Jund.
Do you want to read us the deck list, Stu?
All right, so we've got 4 Skyclave Shades, 4 Wicked Wolves, 4 Gilded Geese, 4 Gilded Gooses, Korvold, 3 of, 3 Woe Striders, a couple of Bone Crusher Giants because you're playing red, a Clothos, a Valky, a single Valky, 1 Rankle, 3 Witches' Ovens, 4 Trail of Crumbs, 4 Binding the Old Gods, 3 Claim the Firstborns, and then an assortment of lands, lots of pathways, some snow-covered basics, 4 Fabled Passages, and then, do we want to go into the sideboard now or look at the main deck?
No, let's go through the main deck first.
Yeah, I think so.
Yep.
I think so. So
there's a lot in there.
A bit of recursion for sure here, with the Skyclave Shade and ways to kind of get benefits out of that. I haven't seen Korvold for a minute, right? It's or Wicked Wolf. So I'm pretty excited to see these cards. Actually, I'll be honest, I forgot they were still in Standard. But yeah, this deck is very, very fair, I think. And because
so it doesn't do anything over the top. Is that what you're saying there, or?
Yeah. I mean, Korvold can definitely go over the top. There's no, it can get very, very big, very, very quickly, and can do a bunch of damage out of nowhere. But everything about this deck is pretty grindy, right? Like,
it's really sticking to the adage of just Jund them out.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. It is very much a Jund deck. And, Binding of the Old Gods is actually interesting here because it's the first deck I've seen that can actually use the third chapter to great effect.
Yes.
Where you can just like attack with a bunch of creatures that, are going to, cause a lot of bad blocks and go a long way to winning the game for you. So, yeah, I think it's pretty interesting. I like the one of Valky / Tybalt because, it's the versatility. This is the Valky that Wizards intended, where you can play it as a 2-drop, or if the game goes really long, you can cast the other side of it. And with Binding of the Old Gods and Gilded Goose, you can look at a turn 5 Valky, which is, exactly what the Ultimatum decks are doing. Mind you, they're doing it with a friend, but it's it's interesting. I like the Clothis in the main deck. I like Rankle. I like Trail of Crumbs just to go really, really long. Claim the Firstborn, stealing your opponent's creatures and then throwing them in an oven or sacking them to Woe Strider is a tried and true strategy against the smaller creature decks. And we've got, 2 mono red decks, 2 cycling decks. So, yeah.
It hits all of the creatures in the rogues as well.
And a bunch of them in the Team Adventures deck as well. So, yeah, I don't hate this deck in this top 8, honestly.
Okay, there's one thing that I do hate about this deck. There are 2 instants in the whole 75.
Yeah.
There are 2 Heartless Acts in the sideboard. That is it. This is like the most, you might as well just lay your cards out. Like you could literally play this deck face up, and it doesn't change much.
Oh, there's four Red Cap Melees as well.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Sure.
Yeah.
Cool. They're all in the sideboard, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. Look, this just seems weird to me. You have no instant speed interaction.
All of your cards do big things. Some of them in synergies with others, maybe not on their own, but there's big synergies and there's big things that this deck does. But yeah, it's a bit ponderous in that sense.
I don't know, man. Like, I think that the challenge for me with this deck, and look, I could be completely wrong. I haven't played with or against this, so like, who knows? I'm just making things up, because that's what I do. But
yeah,
correct. No, wait, hang on.
What have you just said?
All right. Fortunately, I'm editing the podcast.
Deleting
tonight,
that?
so we will be editing that section out. No, it's just, it feels like it might be a turn too slow. Or just not have the interaction that it needs. Like, the cat really held this deck to be, like, too good, is the reality, right? That cat engine was so strong because it just gave you an early blocker, it gave you a little bit of life, it was a little bit of chip damage, and it was the glue that made this deck so very good. To the point where it was oppressive to other things, right? And then, like, you've obviously got, like, there's no Mayhem Devils in this list. Like, we're taking a very different approach. It's a much more mid-range deck, and the problem I have with it is I think it's just the worst mid-range deck. It doesn't feel like it's going to draw cards as well as Team Adventures, and it doesn't go as big as the Sultai Ultimatum deck.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
That's the problem I have with this.
Yeah, I think I agree with everything that you've said there, and like, to back up what you're saying, thinking of an example of the Ember Cleaves that are in this top 8. Someone jams a bunch of small red creatures and throws a cleave on them. Like, there's nothing you can do. You can kill the cleave the next turn with a Binding of the Old Gods, but you've already taken 12 or whatever it is. So it's I like the deck, but yeah, it may not be positioned so well for this. But look, Squid Place, I believe, jammed this deck or a similar deck throughout the group stage, and got to the finals. I'm not sure what they played more recently, but this does also appear to be one of those decks on face value, one of those decks that rewards you for knowing it really well. And so it could just be that Squid Plays is a Jund aficionado and will surprise us. So I'm look forward to seeing those games.
Well, I hope so.
Me too. Look, I'm always down to be wrong, right? Like, I'm always happy to be surprised with how things play out and, how well people do. But these decks also tend to just play the best thing they can on curve.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I said what I thought. Stu, what do you think, man? Do you like where this is positioned against the field that we're seeing?
No, not particularly. Okay. I think I just echo what you guys say, and I'm not an expert or anything, but yeah, it looks like it'll be fun. It should be interesting to watch, but it just, to me, it kind of looks like it's just maybe going to durdle along, if that makes sense.
Yep. Oh, look,
it does.
I think Squid might surprise us.
I
don't disagree with you guys, but I reckon you don't play this deck on a whim.
For sure. So I'm actually,
you know it.
I'm really excited to see how it goes. I do like jump things.
Yeah. I like it looks like the sideboard is actually pretty well put together for this format. So I think games 2 and 3 will definitely, all of the things that all the concerns that you've raised, I think are somewhat diminished.
Yeah.
Against the ultimatum decks.
Plus being able to hit them with a duress.
Yeah.
Running
I think
4 of those
great.
in the sideboard will help a lot.
4 red cap melees with a lot of small red creatures running around. Heartless Act is a good card. There's a rogues deck, so having 2 Croxa and a Pelucranos in the
seems good.
In the sideboard seem good. I'm unsure you'd want the 4th Corvold in any particular matchup, but yeah, and then another Clothis. So I worry about this deck's ability to beat the cycling deck with only 2 Clothis between the main and sideboards. To interact with graveyards. That is definitely a concern. I'd like to see some Soul Guide Lanterns or something, but I think pretty well set up against the sideboard itself is pretty well set up against 5 of the other 7 decks. So yeah, we'll see what the matchups look like.
Yeah, for sure. And we've talked about it. We have an ultimatum deck. So we have Jedi's Walker playing the Yorion Sky Nomad Sultai Ultimatum. So this is much lighter on the creatures and much heavier on the spells. So we have obviously a Yorion, we have 2 Valky, 2 Vorinclex, 2 Maze Mind Tome, 4 Sharks, 4 Binding of the Old God, 4 Omen of the Sea, 2 Kiora Best the Sea God. Awesome. 4 Emergent Ultimatums, 4 Cultivates, 4 Shadows Verdict, 2 Covetous Urge, 2 Alrund's Epiphany, 2 Seagate Restoration, and an Extinction Event. There's also 4 Jawari Disruption, 4 Heartless Act, 4 Saw It Coming, and then 30 lands. I mean, that's an 80 card deck, so I guess you got to stack them in there. Plus the fact that you've got another 4, 6, there's 36 lands, I guess, plus 4 Cultivates. So,
I like it.
Yeah, they're going to play,
I haven't seen Covetous Urge for some time. I remember there was a great card in Limited. But target opponent reveals their hand. You may choose a non-land card from that player's graveyard or hand and exile it. You may cast that card for as long as it remains exiled, and you may spend mana as though it was any mana of any color to cast it. The Mirror Breaker, right?
I honestly can't remember that card.
It didn't see a lot of play.
Yeah,
it didn't see a lot of play in Standard, but it was a great card in Limited. But I think it's in there for the mirror, but there isn't one, so that'll probably come out. But I like this deck a lot. It's very powerful. Sorry, I like this deck in this top 8. It's not a deck I've enjoyed playing or playing against, but it's very powerful. If you get you get a turn 3 Cultivate, turn 4 the Saga, which then gets you a land, and very quickly you're up to Ultimatum mana, and you can go and get Valky, Vorinclex, Kiribati Sea God,
Yeah.
or Alron's Epiphany, depending on, the game situation.
Alron's Epiphany straight into another ultimatum on the next turn. Every time.
Every single time.
If I ever give it to them.
Yep. So it's got, it's got some counter magic. It's got some sweepers. It's got some spot removal. It's got some card draw. It's got Shark Typhoon that, you can cycle to dig for your ultimatum and make blockers, or, create a threat, or if you land a Shark Typhoon and then you just start casting Omen of the Seas, Binding the Old Gods, Cultivates, you can win the game that way as well. You don't have to cast Emergent Ultimatum to win with this deck. I'm just having a look at the mana base, and there are some red lands in the form of Ketria Triome. So you can use the Binding of the Old Gods to go and get a Ketria Triome and hardcast your Tibalt Cosmic Imposter. So it's got that concession as well.
I missed that.
Yeah, so it's pretty good. This is kind of the deck to beat, the known quantity. This is a thing that everybody knows is a good deck. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how it goes. What's in the sideboard here, Stu?
We got 3 Polukronos. I can never say that word. 3
Poly-K.
extinction events.
Poly-K.
Poly-K. 3 extinction events. 2 Disdainful Strokes into 2 Mystical Disputes. 2 Elspeth's Nightmare. Clink to Dust, and another Shadow's Verdict, which Cracker was very happy with.
Elspeth's Nightmare should be changed to Cycling Deck's Nightmare, right?
Correct.
It's such a good card in that matchup. Like, kill your Fox, take your Zenith Flare out of your hand, now I'm exiling your graveyard, is a very, very good 3 chapters on one card. So, yeah, I think that's a really good card in this top 8. Even, against the other decks in the format, like the Rogues deck as well. So, yeah, I can see this deck wanting that pretty regularly. Polukronos is a good card against the Rogues deck. 4 extra sweepers in the sideboard. So in the main deck, we've got 3 Shadow's Verdict, 1 Extinction Event. So there's already 4 sweepers. You can go up to 8.
Yeah.
So the creature decks can have and look, concession that, you need higher numbers because your deck's bigger, but yeah, the Extinction Events and Shadow's Verdicts can do a really good job of cleaning up those creature decks. So yeah, I think this is kind of the bad guy in the room that...
it's very well positioned here, I think.
I disagree.
Okay.
Really? Okay.
Yep. I think the only thing that it's really favoured here is Jund.
Really?
Sure. Yeah.
Yep.
This has the tools to beat everybody, right?
Sure, but you have to draw them.
You have to draw
and
them.
it doesn't have much... It has no card draw.
An 80-card deck.
So, like, if you draw the right half of this deck, nothing can beat it. Period. Like, it will just win against everything. But I think that there are... Like we said, Rogues wants to play against this all day, every day. Mono Red can just, like, run away with the game before they can get their feet under them.
Yeah, and this is the power of Mono Red. Yeah, I think Mono Red's got
and cycling can do the same thing.
Yeah, Mono Red's got a better matchup than cycling against
I'd agree
this.
to that,
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Easily.
I don't know. I don't think like this is necessarily the field that Jedi's was hoping to see. I think they were hoping for some more mid-range decks. And look, I could be wrong. And like I can see like, Shadow's Verdict and, like Extinction Event and those kinds of things. Like if you hit them, Mono Red's toast, right? Like it just is. You hit Sweeper into Sweeper and they've got nothing.
Maybe it's a best of one thing, but I see Shadow's Verdict every single game. And every single game. Oh, sure. I see you with your, Bone Crusher Giants and your Love Struck Beast. Here, have a Shadow's Verdict every time.
Yeah. And that's fine, but that it wants to play against Jund and Adventures, right? Like, because it's the bigger mid-range deck. But against the other ones...
They can definitely get under it. The play and draw, it's going to play a big part in that as well.
For sure. Jedi's is very good, and I can see him doing very well with it, but I don't know. I don't think it's like the top. I don't know what single deck you can point to here as the clear favourite. I think you can make really strong cases for almost all of them as to having, like, I think it's great that we've got such a good spread as far as, like, good and bad matchups for each deck. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, and like that speaks to the position that Standard is at currently. Mm-hmm. So it's a, Standard's in a good spot. We've got a number of different decks with very different strategies. We've got aggro, we've got mid-range, we've got combo, right? So combo control, but it's a combo deck at its heart. So it's a, I like that as far as the diversity. It's great for us doing coverage and for those watching. But well done to the guys in top 8 for selecting a bunch of different decks. So
yes,
it's really good. So we've got what have we got as far as the matchups go? Who's playing who?
Well, it's a double elimination, so we should see a lot of these battling against each other, which is pretty awesome. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick.
So we got P-Jaw versus the GOAT, Rolling Royce versus JDS Walker, Jedi's Walker in the upper bracket, with Squid Plays versus Asbestos Mule and Skips J versus World War Me. So it's important to note that there were 16 players that made our finals, and we've already played 2 rounds of finals to get to this point. So this is the second half of the final series, and we're just doing coverage for the top 8. So the first matchups, P-Jaw versus the GOAT, which is the mono red mirror, I believe.
It is.
Yep. Then Rolling Royce. No, the GOAT's on cycling.
The GOAT's on cycling.
Yep. So Rolling Royce playing Team Adventures versus Jedi's Walker on Ultimatum. So that's cool. I think Jedi's Walker is happy with that matchup. Skips Plays playing Asbestos Mule. So Jund versus Mono Red. Sorry, Squid Plays then Skips J versus the Rogues deck of World War Me. So
cycling on Rogues.
Yep. So Jeskai cycling versus Rogues. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Sorry,
just have to rely on play skill and luck, Pat. But yeah, it's going to be good, and we're going to kick off at 10 a.m. Australian Eastern Time, and join us on coverage. It'll be a lot of fun, and we'll have a lot of things to chat about. We'll do some giveaways. We'll run some polls, and Shorty won't be there, so we'll troll him a lot. So it'll be really, really fun.
Absolutely. Really looking forward to it. If you want to come check that out, it's twitch.tv/magicbeanscast. That's where you can find us for basically everything. If you just Google Magic Beans Cast, you'll find the website, which has like all the podcast stuff on there. We're on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, obviously, as we just said. So, and the other thing is like our Discord. All this has been run through our Discord, so we obviously talk about it a lot every week when we're on here. But it's awesome. We love it. We get to just talk about Magic all day. Pops up on my second monitor at work, and it's just there's people from all over the place talking about interesting things, all sorts of different formats. It's not all just standard. There's always people talking about limited and commander and all the other sorts of stuff, which is pretty awesome.
And memes, plenty of memes.
Lots of memes. I enjoy the chatter about the previews and people kind of sharing their ideas and such. That's one of my favorite parts of preview season is our community chatting about those cards.
Yeah, have you guys seen the 2 best cards in the new Strixhaven set? It's Bonecrusher Giant and Yorion.
Okay.
Yeah, that's something I saw on Twitter.
Yeah,
it's just like it's probably sadly true.
Yeah, it unfortunately is. Yeah.
Anyway,
speaking of Twitter,
right. Speaking of Twitter, yes. If you would like to talk to me directly for some reason, I am at JoelHill_. Chewy, you are?
At Chewy MTG.
And Stu?
At mstewy.
We look forward to seeing you all hanging out in our chat and being involved on the weekend. And take care, and we'll see you soon.